Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsports sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
Welcome to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by 4 Wheel Parts. We have Basil Khaja on here today from Midwest Offroad Expeditions, and it is an awesome show. Great times. We learned a lot. I learned a lot as well, just about all the options for off-roading in the Midwest, which I've lived here for a long time. But it's pretty cool what Basil has set up, and it's really cool to see his take on the motorsports marketing and the sponsorship world. Before I get in the interview with him, though, I have a few things I want to cover. I actually want to talk a little bit about my truck for a second, which does relate to 4 Wheel Parts here, and it also relates to the show. So I picked up a 2017 Ford Raptor late last year in 2019, and I just now started doing the mods on it. So I got a set of wheels on it recently. I ordered a rooftop tent. I've got that just sitting in the barn ready to go. I end up with the Smitty-built Overlander from 4 Wheel Parts, and I got Icon Vehicle Dynamics wheels from 4 Wheel Parts, and I just ordered a new tonneau cover with an integrated rack system. So the one I went with is a Retrax 1XR cover. So it's a retractable tonneau cover that has a rail system integrated. I was originally going to go a different route, and I switched it up to this one. So you could always pick up a Retrax cover from 4 Wheel Parts. You know, they've got them on there. There's a bunch of different types. This is just the one that I settled with, but I'm super excited to get that thing ready to roll, and I appreciate 4 Wheel Parts for supporting me along the way and helping me figure out what exact combinations I should be getting. So that's been phenomenal. And it is warming up here in Michigan, and I'm excited to kind of test this thing out. So either way, I felt like that was kind of appropriate as a lead-in for this show. Folks that are listening, if you follow Midwest Off-Road Expeditions or Basil, you're probably interested in Ford Raptors as well. So I figured that would make sense for me to talk a little bit about that. And then I just wanted to shout out 4 Wheel Parts again for their help in kind of getting my truck build going. I've dreamed of this truck for... well, let's see, Raptors came out in 2010, I think, so at least the past 10 years I've been dreaming of this truck, but in my head I had it pictured well before that, so I've got a lot more I want to do, but either way, I've started that process, and it is feeling really good right now. So if you want to find out more, you can follow me on Instagram at Destination Raptor. That is where I'm kind of tracking my build and some of my adventures there. All right. I want to take another minute here to tell you about the other awesome supporters for the show. AMSOIL, they provide amazing lubrication products, and they are a company that runs on freedom. You can find out more at amsoil.com/rider. TopThePodium.com, they're experts in motorsports sponsorship, website creation, and sponsorship decks, you name it. Crash Addict Industries, they provide human protection and extreme racing products. And I also want to shout out some of our other partners, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and High Octane Coffee. And then last but not least here, UTV Sports Magazine. We are now producing a column as part of UTV Sports Magazine, and we're capturing some of the fun insights, honestly, that we've learned in the show. So you can head over there and check that out anytime you want. I would love it too if you headed over to Apple Podcasts and left a rating and review. That does wonders for the show. And then subscribe. You know, if you're listening on YouTube or on the website, it is much easier if you subscribe on your phone through a podcast player and have it just download regularly. All right, I've got Joe Sylvester going to give you a quick tidbit of sponsorship advice in our High Octane Coffee marketing tune-up, and then Basil will be on to tell you all about Midwest Off-Road Expeditions and the way that he has leveraged motorsports marketing and sponsorship.
What's up, guys? Joe Sylvester here with your High Octane Coffee marketing tune-up of the day. Today I want to talk about sponsor attraction. Sponsor attraction, to me, is a much better tactic than quote-unquote sponsor hunting. You want to build your brand. You want to establish yourself in the racing community and in the marketing realm of things. as a respected individual, as a professional, you don't want to just keep knocking on doors and hoping somebody answers. You want the sponsors to come to you. That is the most ideal situation for you to be in, and it's the most ideal situation for them. Believe it or not, companies do have, people that work for them, or even owners of companies. They take notice on social media. They see what's going on, and they see the brands. They see the people that stand out. Make yourself stand out from the rest. Be very active on social media. Be very active with your press releases. Try to grow your email database. And like I said, build your brand. Make your brand something that a company would be proud to be associated with. And like I said, when they come to you, it's a much better feeling than sitting there all night long sending out 100 emails. I know this from experience, trust me.
Today I have Basil Khaja on here from Midwest Offroad Expeditions, and we've got a lot to talk about already. I mean, we just spent some time in the pre-interview talking and getting caught up, but there's way more to cover. So let's start off with this. Tell us about yourself and tell us about Midwest Offroad Expeditions.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Josh. So Midwest Offroad Expeditions is we're an off-road group based out of Michigan. Most of our members live around the Detroit area and all over the rest of the state. We have 6 or 7 events throughout the year, kind of to give people a taste of all the seasons. Most of them are in the Midwest. We do events in Michigan. We're planning some in Wisconsin. We have some in California planned, but we're one of the largest groups in the area. We're growing very rapidly. Most of our members are drive Ford Raptors or Jeeps. We have a bunch of Rams, and we have a few normal F-150s and all sorts of vehicles. So any street legal 4x4 vehicles are always welcome in our group. Yeah, that's kind of what we do here with Midwest Offroad Expeditions.
Awesome. Yeah, we were talking a bit in the pre-interview. Colin Kramer, West Michigan Jeeper, if people follow him on Instagram, I've hung out with him a few times and we've gotten to know each other. And he sent me your way because I got a Raptor recently, and I've been looking for groups to start connecting with. And so now we're here. And then we got a lot more to talk about. I think there's a lot that the audience can probably learn from what you're doing with Midwest Offroad Expeditions too. So let's start though by understanding a little bit more about your background, kind of how this whole thing came about. So what's your story? How'd you get into motorsports in general?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Kuwait. I grew up there over in the Middle East, and the place to be was the desert. Kuwait's a small country. There's an ocean on one side of it and kind of desert on the other. And so as a kid, I was always out in wintertime. It's too hot in the summertime to be out in the desert. But
yeah,
during the wintertime, we all had 4-wheelers, dirt bikes, Land Cruisers, whatever, you name it. And we'd spend most of our time out there in the desert. And then come summertime, sell everything off and buy a jet ski or a boat or whatever, and go to the other side of the country. So that's kind of what got me into the whole motorsports initially. I had a bunch of friends with off-road vehicles as well, like Land Cruisers or Jeeps. So I came to the U.S., I don't know, 07, I think, and kind of was still carried over the hobby with me. Bought a dirt bike and a 4-wheeler here and would play around with those. And then slowly started getting into the bigger stuff. The F-150 was one of my first vehicles, and I off-roaded that a lot, and then got a Raptor more recently. I actually have a 17 just like you.
Oh, okay.
So I've kind of started this whole group based on that.
Nice. It's crazy. I would have expected that you grew up in the Midwest your whole life. Like you have I would say a pure Midwest accent. I would have never guessed that you just moved to the U.S. in 07.
Yeah, my mom is actually from here, so it's kind of I'm cheating a little bit. She's from Indiana, so okay. I got that side of the family still.
Yeah, I was like, literally, you the zero accent. Well, I say zero accent. Other people listening are like, listen to these Midwesterners chatting it up. I was gonna compliment you, like, man, you really I don't even know how you would have done that. It's funny. So I went to school in northern Michigan for a little bit at a place called Michigan Tech up in Houghton, Hancock. It's pretty much as far north as you can get in Michigan. It turns into kind of Canada, and everybody up there has like that, the long O's. They're like, oh, yeah, driving down the road area, you betcha. That's kind of how they talk. And I was there for
I know what you mean.
Not long at all, and I already started picking up those long O's. And I'm sure some people like that listen to this. There's a lot of folks out west, the California, San Diego, Vegas area, that they probably listen like, oh yeah, this guy's always got them long O's there, don't you know? But for me, I picked it up for a little bit, and it took me like 6 months to a year to shake that a little bit and get back into my own tendencies. But
yeah, it's all relative, right? Everyone hears something different. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool, man. So you came over here. You got into all the fun toys and stuff. You got a Raptor. Okay, let's go to the Raptor thing real quick. Cam phasers. Have you had the cam phaser issue yet?
I've had worse. I'm on my second engine.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've had rod knock on the engine. I've broken everything on the truck you can think of.
But this is something you caused or just a general problem?
No, that was actually when I first got the truck, and I think it was early February of 2017. My cousin and I decided to take a trip out west to Moab for Easter Jeep Safari, and we drove the truck out there, had some fun off-roading, went to Canyonlands National Park and a bunch of other places. Drove through, on our way out through Arizona, through New Mexico, and took the whole scenic tour. It was really fun, but on the way back, when I was traveling through Colorado, I started hearing a slight ticking sound as I would slow down, like at a gas station is when I first heard it. I was slowing down to get gas, and the engine was ticking a little bit. My cousin couldn't hear it. I guess he hasn't spent enough time in the vehicle to tell that it was unnatural, but it really stood out to me. Drove it all the way back home to Detroit and took it into the shop, and they said, yeah, you got rod knock on cylinder 4. I guess it had spun one of the rod bearings. So they swapped my engine for me under warranty. I only had 21,000 miles on the truck at the time.
There you go. Wow. Yeah, I had, so mine's got 52, 54, 56,000, something like that now. And I had the cam phaser thing, so I already got that repaired. And
gotcha.
Yeah, so far it's been good. I just bought it. It's used. I bought it, I think it had 52,000. So I think I put about 4,000 or 5,000 on it. So far, and I got to play around with some of the trails. Let's see, I bought it in November of 2019, so I got to play around with some of the trails in Michigan. I got to hit Silver Lake Sand Dunes before they closed. It wasn't November then. I must have bought it before November because they closed in October. So I must have bought it in October.
Right on.
It's a fun truck, man. I just ordered some goodies. From 4Wheel Parts. You can find out more at 4wheelparts.com. No, that's sorry, that wasn't supposed to be a commercial there, but I did. I bought some goodies. I bought a new set of wheels. They're on their way. Some Icon compressions, which I like them. I had Icon rebounds on my Jeep, also from 4wheelparts.com, but those were they got like a really nice finish on them. I don't really know how to describe it. It just looks well put together. So either way, I got another set of Icons for this, so I'm excited. They're not here yet. And then I bought a rooftop tent too.
Oh wow, you're overlanding it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that a little bit. I don't know if I'll ever be like. I'm sure there's some overlanders that will never accept me because I'll be like a weekender. But yeah, I'm gonna. One of my buddies is gonna be building. You might even know him, Jeremy Byington, with New Holland Overland.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, he's got a really cool Tacoma that he built, but he's gonna build me a custom rack for it, and yeah, so I'm excited to get that on there. My wife actually agreed to go like on a camping trip with me, and I was like, done. I'm spending money today.
Wow. Yeah, that's rare. Good deal.
Yeah, so I was all about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, overlanding is not super popular around here, but it's definitely growing. I've seen so many more people now with trucks equipped for it, and it's kind of cool. I'm a little intrigued by it myself. I'm just like you. I'd be a weekend warrior type guy, not a week-long trip.
Yep. I used to do it on,
So,
well, I've done it a few times on like four-wheelers, and that's a blast. Just pack everything up. You go out in the middle of nowhere. I only caught hypothermia. Well, it was mild once, so not bad. But yeah, you get in the truck, turn the heat on if it gets a little cold, like, pop a Mountain Dew
yeah, it's
open.
a lot easier. Yep.
So it's
For
good.
sure, man.
Well, cool. All right, so that was way too much of me. Let's talk a little bit more about, like, Midwest Off-Road Expeditions, some of the details behind forming that, what it's turned into, kind of what platforms you're on. Go from there.
Yeah. So, we started out, it was, like I said, I bought the Raptor in early 17, and I kind of looked for some trails over the summer, found some all over Michigan, and I would go out alone and just go on the trails and kind of map them all out with my GPS software.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of the summer, I was like, hey, I see all these groups out west and in Texas and all over the place doing Raptor events where they got 20 or 30 or 40 trucks. It'd be kind of cool to start something like that around here because I see so many of these Raptors all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up posting something on my Instagram page. I had an Instagram at the time that was, I would just post off-roading pictures of, the truck out on the trails or GoPro videos or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I made some friends through that, probably had, 1,500, 2,000 followers, something like that, something pretty small. And I just posted something one day saying, hey, Raptor event at Grayling, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
such and such date. It was sometime in October. Shoot me a direct message for more information. And I had, probably 15, 20 people message me and ask for more information. So I wrote down all their emails, their email addresses, and then put together a document that showed what I was trying to do and sent them all the maps and gave them all the info about hotels they could stay at if they're coming from out of state, or all the restaurants, gas stations nearby. Sent all that out, and day of the event, I just showed up at the place I told everyone to meet at, and I had no idea how many people were going to come. And we had, I think, 12 or 14 trucks show up, which was
nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of them. They were all complete strangers to me. I literally met all of them that day. And we had one lady, Andrea, she's in our group, awesome person. She drove all the way from Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
We had people driving from Illinois. We had a couple people from Indiana. It was just people all over the place. And it goes to show you that you send out I call it the bat call, and people just start showing up when it's off-road stuff. People love it. So that's cool. What we started at, and just been expanding since. Every event we've had more and more people, a lot of new faces. A lot of the original crew are still with us. Some of them have moved out of state and stuff like that, but for the most part, they still come on all of our events, which is awesome.
No, that's great. Well, what are things that you're working on right now or this year? Like, what are you excited about?
Right now, so we've had a very busy first quarter of the year. We had an event on February 1st. And then we're doing another couple back-to-back events. One of them is coming up in the middle of March 21st, and it's a trail run in St. Helen, Michigan that you should definitely join us for if you can.
What day is that again?
It's on March the 21st.
Ooh, March 21st.
Which is a Saturday. Yep. And this will be the second year we're doing this event. It's one of the funnest ones we do because last year we had a ton of snow. And it's a lot of high-speed type stuff, ORV routes that are DNR maintained. So we have permits for them. We have full liability insurance. We have everything's legal, and we get a big group of people to go out and go pretty fast, have some fun. So that's what's coming up. And then our Halo event is actually coming up on May 16th and 17th, and that is in Drummond Island, Michigan. It's called Island Life. That is an awesome place. We went there last year for the first year. Such an amazing place. Had a great crew of people that joined. We had almost 20 trucks there, and we had a blast, and so many people were excited about it and saw our Instagram feed, and we have a lot more interest this year, so we're going to try to up it to 40 or 50 vehicles.
Nice. So holy cow.
Yeah, we're trying to go big this year.
How's the Raptor do at Drummond?
It was good. We only had a couple Jeeps last time, and the rest were mostly Raptors. And They do. The trails are a little narrow on Drummond. They're set up more for Jeeps and ORVs,
right.
we had gone up a couple weeks before the event. Me and a group of our staff guys that are awesome, that are always helping me out. We all went up there and pre-ran the trails and scratched the hell out of our trucks, but we found the routes that were less prone to cause damage.
Yep.
So we kind of canceled a lot of the routes that we had originally planned and stuck to other ones. But rock crawling is really fun. The Raptors, people think of them as high-speed vehicles only, but as you know, they do have rock crawl modes. They have lockers front and rear, so it's very they're still very capable trucks.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, I think that's helpful for anybody who's just kind of getting starting off too, is to have somebody help guide them along the way. Like, I know that's been one thing since switching to, I was telling you before in the pre-interview, since switching to like a full-size vehicle, there's lots of differences. You know, I used to take an ATV, or I used to take a side-by-side, and you can go quite a few places without really getting yourself in trouble. And sometimes even with the Jeep, I had a decent amount, but the truck has just got a few extra pounds on it, a little bit wider. And yeah, it's helpful, I think, to have somebody map those things out and say, like, nope, you're good, come this way, we got you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what we try to do. We welcome like people of all skill levels. We have complete beginners that are first-time off-roaders. You know, the last event we had in February, we had 4 or 5 people that had never been off-road in their vehicles.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, when we get large enough group sizes, if we have over 20 or 30 trucks or vehicles, we'll split them up into smaller groups of 10 or 15 vehicles. And each group has a lead vehicle and a chase vehicle that are, trained drivers, and we're all in radio communication with each other. And we can sometimes we'll have a more of a beginner group, kind of a lower speed, more, teaching people how to use their vehicles. If they get stuck, we kind of show them how to do extractions. If they're trying to use different modes in their vehicle, we show them that as well. And then we usually have a more advanced group that is a lot more high speed, and they'll usually leave first. Mm-hmm. So we're not, holding them up on the trails or anything like that.
No, sounds good.
So yeah, everyone's welcome.
And, part of this, and, one of the main reasons why you're on the show is to talk about how you turn this kind of like support group and gathering into sort of a business, right? So you got sponsors, you got partners that you work with. Who are those people? And, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have right now 6 or 7 sponsors. Our list is always growing. Different events, we have people reach out to us saying we want to sponsor this specific event because we think it's applicable to our product. I can name them if you're interested in hearing.
Yeah, let's do it.
So one of our greatest sponsors, we love them. They're called HPA Systems. They make air tanks, high pressure air tanks that are, if you've heard of them, they're not CO2, but standard air, very high quality systems. We use them for inflating our tires. We use them they make accessories. You can buy a jack that'll lift your vehicle, an air jack. You can hook up any kind of impact gun to it or whatever you want. If you're overlanding, you can air up your air mattress if you wanted with one of their tanks. Mm-hmm. HPS, they come to all of our events. They're actually local out of West Bloomfield, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Great people. Yeah, awesome to work with. They sponsor many off-road groups all over the country. Another big one is Aturo Tires. Mm-hmm. They are, they're also an excellent sponsor. They give away raffles, or they give away tires for us to raffle off at each of our events. People love them. Almost all of our support drivers run their tires. People have gone out and purchased them. We have people in the group that love them too. So really cool sponsor. A newer one that we have is US Action Tracks. They are out of Kansas, and they make traction boards for shoveling snow under your tires, and you stick them under your tires to get out of snow or sand or whatnot. Mm-hmm. We have Lead Nav Systems. I'm sure you've heard of them. They're a big GPS software company. Cool thing about them is I went out to the Baja 1000 race this past November.
Oh, okay.
And actually met the founders out there, and that's how I kind of got in contact with them, and they were very excited to sponsor us because they don't have a lot of stuff going on out here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Other than they do government and military and things like that, but as far as off-roading groups, we're one of the main ones that run their stuff out here. We have Advanced Fiberglass. They make fiberglass components, fenders and bedsides and things like that for trucks. A lot of Raptor guys, as you know, widen their stuff, put mid-travel kits on them and things like that. So you definitely need some fenders that stick out wider.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our very oldest sponsors, who are also a great sponsor, is Freedom Motorsports. They're out of, I believe, North Carolina. And they do all sorts of truck and auto accessories and things like that. And so they're a very supportive sponsor of ours.
Oh,
so those are our main ones right now. We have a few more in the works. We got Warren Winches that's on board for our Drummond Island event coming up in May, and a couple others.
Nice. So what made you even decide to go down the route of the, sponsored deal? Like, how did that even come about?
That's a good question. So I think it started with, at the end of our events, my goal in my mind when I was planning, and not just mine, but the whole group that's responsible for planning all of our events, we kind of thought a cool thing to do would be to have a raffle at the end of every one of our events.
Oh yeah.
To kind of have people, leaving with the thought or the feeling that they accomplished something, they won a prize or whatever. It's just kind of a cool thing to do. So we started out by, just going out and buying parts, and then we'd buy, radios. I actually bought a bunch of stuff from 4 Wheel Parts.
Yeah.
We'd buy, toe straps or shackles or whatever, and raffle them off at the end of the event. And then we started trying to figure out if we could get some stuff that was donated to us. And we started approaching sponsors. We actually had a few of them approach us saying, like a Turo Tires, for example, they saw our Instagram following and they reached out to us and asked if we would be interested in having them as a sponsor. So that's kind of how it started. And it kind of grew from there. The more you can have sponsors donate items or help offset costs of events or things you need to buy for the group, it really helps out in the long run with, it's less money you're spending out of pocket or from the income to the group. So they're definitely beneficial in all ways.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It reminds me of an event that I went to in like 2015. And at the time, I wasn't even doing the show yet, so I really was not, I guess, keen on this kind of stuff. But they had something like that. And now I remember it. Going back, they had, it was at a place called Bundy Hill Offroad in Jerome, Michigan.
Yeah.
You've probably been there, or at least heard of it.
Yep.
And I went there with the Side-by-Side Club, Michigan Side-by-Side Club, and they had a sponsor there, Ball Equipment. They were, I think, out of like the thumb area in Michigan. If everybody needs to know how to find your way around Michigan, you hold your left hand up, with your thumb to the right, and then that's the shape. So yeah, in the thumb-ish area, I think, is where this Ball Equipment is at. Either way, they had a bunch of shirts that they raffled off, and they had a bunch of parts like a light bar and some other cool things. And yeah, I never forgot their name after that raffle. Even now, like, I remember it. I don't know if I've honestly talked about that in the show. We've talked about giveaways, like on social media and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever talked like event raffles that often. So that's good. Something new.
Yeah, and we, and all of our money now that we're generating from our raffles is donated. We donate a large portion of it to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Oh, okay.
We also do things with Michigan DNR, kind of giving back to the land we're using.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely, it benefits everyone. The sponsors get to have their name put out there. We get to have people leaving feeling good about themselves and having won something. And then, obviously all the charities that we're supporting are benefited by it as well. So it's just a cool thing to do.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into the sponsorship stuff in a minute, but right now I want to take a break to thank the sponsors for this podcast. Let's talk about your truck for a minute. You can count on it to haul your vehicle and your gear to the track or to the trailhead, but I bet you never think about the motor oil. Here's why you should. Your oil is the only thing preventing your engine from wearing out and breaking down. To keep your truck running strong, look for an oil with added wear protection. Like, for example, AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil. It delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than is required by the leading industry standard. It provides the next level protection today's demanding engines need to keep running for years and to keep effortlessly towing your ride to the track. Go to AMSOIL.com/rider to find out more. Make the switch to AMSOIL synthetic motor oil today to keep your vehicle running great. Safety is our overriding priority. I hear it all the time, but I have to ask myself, is it though? Is that the first thing we think of? Is that the first thing you think of? Over the past couple of years, we've seen the performance of production UTVs increase, somewhere around 350%. That means these machines give us a lot more opportunity to have fun and win races, but it also, unfortunately, gives us new opportunities to crash. And that's why we have partnered with Crash Addict Industries. The owner, Travis Pointer, became very accustomed to crashing early in his career. He saw it as inevitable, and he set out to make the process safer. With a passion for racing, welding, and engineering, Crash Addict Industries now produces full cage and other protection systems intentionally designed to protect you during an accident on the track. They also offer a line of human protection products through their vendors. Do this for me at this point. If you're racing with a stock cage right now, please go check out CrashAddict.com and at least just see what they have to offer. Even if you choose to go with a different company, please make safety your overriding priority. Two questions I get continuously about this show and about sponsorship is, do I need my own website and do I need a resume? The answer is, in my opinion, yes to both, and that's why we partner with TopThePodium.com. Now, if you want to see an example of what a professional website and what a professional resume looks like, you gotta check out TopThePodium.com. They did my website. The Sponsored Rider Club Podcast website is sponsoredriderclubpodcast.com. That was created by Jeff Vanistall of TopThePodium.com. I think it's awesome. I get a lot of good feedback about it. And there's a number of other websites out there that Jeff has produced that are just phenomenal. So I think it's important in this world of social media where you have control of your content. That's what a website does. It gives you full control. We don't know what Facebook's going to do sometimes. We don't know what Instagram's going to do. We don't know what Twitter's going to do. So if we don't have that central location to direct people and house our content, there is some risk that we incur. So I strongly recommend getting a website, talking to TopThePodium.com. And then the resume, again, is massive. And if you want to stand out, get it done professionally. And honestly, it is one of the best ways to step up your game and present yourself in the best way possible. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. We are in the main event, and we're diving into all the fun details, sponsorship tactics, strategies, and whatnot. We already kind of touched base on the several companies that you've been working with Midwest Offroad Expeditions. The event planning that goes into it, all the raffles that you've been working on, the donations that you're making to St. Jude's and DNR, all that fun stuff. And now I want to talk a little bit more about kind of the content creation standpoint, because part of this I know is, and you've mentioned it before, like social media, getting the Midwest Offroad Expeditions name out there, getting all this great content and pictures and fun stuff like that. So let's hear a little bit about that. First off, what is your kind of content strategy? What platforms you're on, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we're mainly using Instagram and Facebook are our two main ones.
Yep.
We have a YouTube page as well. It's usually we'll post lengthened videos that we feature on Instagram and just continue them on YouTube. But for the most part, Instagram is where we have our most followers, and that's really where almost all of our connections come from. Mm-hmm. We try to stick to. So I run the Instagram page, and I have a very particular methodology for doing it, but it's worked so far. I've done some research on how and when to post and what kind of content and stuff. But from my learnings, a few of the things that come to mind are a lot of action shots are very popular. That's anything with trucks out in the woods or going through snow or just generally doing truck things out in the woods or wherever. Usually we get content from our pre-runs. Before we go to our events, we do pre-runs, and we'll get 4 or 5 trucks to go on the pre-runs, and we can take video and pictures, and those usually will post up before the event, and that gets a lot of excitement. Another thing is a lot of content from similar groups. We have other groups and accounts that we follow, and we'll repost some of their stuff, obviously shout them out, and it just kind of adds to the whole motorsports and action lifestyle. People like to see not just your content, but anything that's related to off-roading. So we take advantage of that as well. Try to keep videos short, to the point. We do, I try to do daily posts every morning. I'll post something, and sometimes at night as well, using hashtags, things like that. So that's kind of our social media strategy.
Nice. Nate, you had mentioned that you kind of did some research and looking up on how to post, what's the right frequency and whatnot. Where'd you find that information at? I mean, we talk about that on this show, but I'd love to give folks like another place to go to for info like that.
Yeah, I don't honestly remember the exact the websites I found it on, but I did some research on correct times of day to post, or when the most popular times of day are. And it turns out, I guess, people have done a lot of research on this kind of stuff, where a lot of attention is given to social media in the early morning around between 7 and 9 a.m. That's when most people are either leaving for work or getting to work. And that's one of the first things a lot of people do when they get to work is go through their Instagram,
Yep.
And then also usually around the time you get home, anywhere between 4 and 6 or 7 o'clock at night, depending on where you're at. But most people will check their Instagram then as well. Same with weekends. Sundays are very popular days. A lot of people are not doing anything on Sunday except, slouching around and sitting on the couch watching Netflix or whatever. So they're going to be scrolling through their Instagram feed a lot. So you get popular days of the week. Also, I think Mondays are very popular. Fridays are very popular. And honestly, you can just do Google searches and try to look up some articles that were written. I know there's a lot of different research that's been done, and especially by big corporations, that rely on social media for getting their name out.
Yeah. Something funny, that this was before I really even knew about, Instagram insights and post time and all that stuff. I found out that when I was posting, and at the time it was very, it's when people on the out west of the U.S. were, at night for them. So it was, I was accidentally targeting them. So if I look at all of my, the people who have caught onto the show more than others, it's all in 3 hours off of my time zone. It's crazy.
Exactly.
And I didn't even know it. And now I do that on purpose. I will post my things at a time where it should be more ideal for that group of people. But it started on accident, that I was doing it that way because I just didn't know what I was doing. So I don't have as much Midwest folks that actually follow my show because of how I did my social media content early on and for actually quite a while.
Yeah, and sometimes it is, like you said, it's by accident. You'll post something, you'll notice it gets tons of hits.
Yeah.
And then you'll post, at a different time, and the next day, and it'll be completely different. So
right.
You kind of find the trends yourself, even.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's good. I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. So when you're going out on these rides, I thought you said that you had, on pre-runs, you might get some good content. Are you getting other folks that are sharing content with you, like people who go out on the trips with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have, during our events, we'll have a WhatsApp group, if you're familiar with the WhatsApp social media. It's like a chat group or whatever, application, but we'll do a group chat for each event, and people will share their pictures and videos there. We also do Photo Bucket. It's another app for sharing pictures. We use that a lot. And people will just dump all their content into these folders or Google Drive, and anyone can, it's with the intent that anyone can use it. So we'll use it on our social media. Obviously, people get excited when you post pictures or videos taken by them or of their vehicles. So it's always a good thing. And then also we'll get, I get a lot of people that will send videos from all over the world, from South America, from Europe, from the Middle East. They'll send videos of them off-roading, kind of like what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So I like to take time to post those as well and kind of shout them out. just to show that it's a global thing, off-roading. Everyone loves doing it all over the place. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of cool to do that.
Very good. Very good. Well, I wanted to ask a few more questions about some of the sponsors that you've connected with. You had told us about one of them that had kind of reached out to you on social media, I think, and you made a connection there. But what about some of these other folks? Like, how did you get connected with these folks? How did you even get to the point where you've got them donating products for raffles and things like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of them that comes to mind, Freedom Motorsports. I attended an event about a year and a half ago in the Upper Peninsula. It was a big Raptor event, and they were actually present in the group I was in. And so we kind of talked throughout the event. It was a 2 or 3 day event, and we talked about stuff. And they told me that they told me what their business model was and how they were very into the off-roading industry. And so since then, I grabbed their cell phone numbers. It was a father and son team. Grabbed their cell phone numbers and kept in touch with them, and actually asked them right before our second event if they would be interested in sponsoring us, and they said, yeah, absolutely. They sent us out some prizes to give away for our raffle. I think that was our very first raffle, and offered us sponsored discounts for any of our participants.
Nice.
Another one that was really cool that I mentioned earlier was Lead Nav Systems. Yeah, so we met them out.
Oh, yeah.
Myself and a couple other people who actually are in the group with us. We went out to Baja and met them out there in person. We were introduced by one of our, I guess, brethren off-road groups that's out of California called Dirt Days. They are the ones who kind of hosted us when we were over there in Baja. Mm-hmm. We met them through social media, and they took us around, introduced us to a lot of the different racing organizations over there, big companies, and we made contacts that way too. So it's kind of just a mix of where we meet people at.
No, it's good. And I want to emphasize a point that you just made here where you said they told me what their business model was. That's critical. Once you understand that, you're in a much better position to create a real pitch, or like, I can actually help you. I remember Soderweld, who's been with me now for, let's see, they joined in August of 2017. So what's that, 2.5 years or something like that?
Yeah.
I met them at a Vegas to Reno, the off-road race. And I just talked to them about kind of their strategy. I interviewed one of the employees, and afterwards they're like, yeah, we're trying to, expand our market into, the off-road industry, and we're looking for more, riders and racers to partner with, and we're looking for a way to get to those people. We want good people. We don't want the sponsor me bro people. We want the people who are committed to this. And I was like, those are the people that listen to my show. We got this
for sure.
We can make this happen. But once we got to that conversation about what their business model was, I was like, this is a perfect alignment. But I've also had companies in the past that that I've worked with, and their model is way different. And I've had to say that this is great, but I don't think that I'm really going to help you. I mean, I want to, but I don't think it's going to work. I got to be honest with you. I'll try, but I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. There are those people, like you said, that are the sponsor me bro. And some businesses do want people like that. And that's, I don't think sometimes they're not reputable businesses, or they're one of those ones, get rich quick type businesses. And so they're separated from the ones who actually want, like you said, the real people who are dedicated to the sport, have a passion for it, and are in it for the long run.
Yeah.
So that's a good point you made.
And it's, I'm glad you just said that too, because I went on a rant last night on one of my live shows about this. Oh, for people knowing, today is February 25th of 2020. So when I say last night, it's not the same night as when this show releases. But I went on a rant about this because I had recently had this influx of kind of weird proposals for me. People ask me for money quite a bit for the show. Just based off of the name of the show, I get it. I kind of lure people in that way, But it sparked this conversation about like the sponsor me bro thing, and what happens is there are some companies who, like you say, they'll throw somebody a 5% or 10% discount, and it's maybe not always the best marketing strategy for them, or maybe it's like you're saying, kind of a little maybe scammy. I don't really know the best way of saying it, but then folks like hear about this, the word spreads, like, oh well, this is how it works. I just tell them sponsor me, and then they do, and then it kind of dilutes the rest of the industry to an extent. It kind of leaves ickiness to it.
Exactly, it really does, and you'll have these people that are, like you said, they almost pyramid schemes where they're trying to get you to, if you have enough sales of our product, we'll give you this much discount.
Right.
Once you get up to however many people, we'll give you an even bigger discount. And it's kind of I think it's a dirty way of doing things, but I guess if it's working for them, it's working for them. So
yeah, it's strange though. It complicates. That's kind of why this show exists. Is there's so many different facets that we can talk through. It kind of complicates things sometimes. I know I get feedback from racers periodically where they're like, look, there's a fine balance between underselling yourself and then overselling yourself. Some folks might say, oh yeah, I'll run your logo on the side of my vehicle, plastered all over it for free. Yeah, no big deal. Like, but then you see other people like, no, that's a $5,000 package that you just gave them for free. Yep. Like, you got to be cautious of that. But at the same point, like, you need to build a relationship, and you don't want to ask for money up front, and like, it's this weird fine balance of not overvaluing or undervaluing yourself. And there's no just like, I wish I could hand somebody a sheet of paper that tells them what to do, but I can't. I can only talk about examples.
Yes, exactly.
Well, cool. All right, so you've been doing this for a little while now. What are some of the lessons that you've kind of picked up along the way?
Lessons. I would say definitely the reaching out to others and making relationships everywhere you go is a very huge one. I've met people from all over the place, different, some just off-roaders. I've met people who run companies, all sorts of people. And you'd be surprised what you can do just with your relationships, by knowing someone and maintaining that relationship as well. It's not just hey, I met this person at such and such event and never talk to them again. You gotta, it's hard work sometimes, but it's something you have to do if you want to be able to grow your business or your group or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was one thing. I'd say also it's in the motorsports world, it's very cutthroat. There's a lot of competition, so you just can't give up. You got to keep trying. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but like I said, our first event, we had 12 vehicles show up. I have another group that's out of Wisconsin Raptors. Shout out to them, but they're an awesome group. They've been asking me how we've grown so much here in Michigan, and that was one of the things I told them was you can't give up. You got to keep planning events, even if no one shows up. Just keep doing them. People will eventually start coming. Same if you're reaching out to sponsors, you might get shot down by one or two, but you got to keep trying and learn from your mistakes. So I guess that would be my advice for someone getting into this.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. And it seems like you also learned quite a bit about just general social media and how all of those things kind of play in. It's a big part of what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very important. You can, I've seen groups that have almost no social media presence that are, as a result of that, are not selling spots. They're not getting sponsors, etc. They're just not putting the time into the social media. And it's crazy how big of an impact social media has today. Everyone has an Instagram or Facebook page or watches YouTube videos or whatever, no matter what your age is, where you're from, anything like that. So social media is massive. If you can master it or at least stay on top of it, you have a great chance of growing a following.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I only have a few more things to cover here before we kind of wrap things up. And I'm going to talk about the lightning round now. So it's just one question. but it's a big one. If you could sponsor anyone in the world, who would you choose and why?
Anyone in the world would probably be someone in the motorsports industry. It would be someone like a Ken Block or a Joey Logano, I'd say. Someone that has just a large following. They're pushing the boundaries of the sport. They're, they have an actual passion for it and not just trying to sell something to you. Ken Block is awesome. He's into Raptors. He's got one himself. He's all over the off-roading scene from rally to side-by-sides to every kind of racing you can imagine. So it would probably be someone like him. He's a pretty cool guy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Ken Block and I go way back. Like, we saw each other. Like, I think he made eye contact with me twice at SEMA. So, like, I'm pretty sure that we're pretty close now. He likes White Claws. Yeah, he likes White Claws. I didn't know that was. I didn't know. Now I think I'm supposed to like them because he likes them.
Exactly.
But yeah, I did. I saw him
Monster, right?
That's right. I saw him at SEMA. He was doing a couple of autograph signings. So like I saw him at an autograph signing, and then out in the wild, like I just, oh my gosh, oh hey, Ken. I call him K now because we're so close. But no.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's I definitely hear his name pop up every now and then about someone who really does things right with the whole sponsorship thing. He is all over the place. He's got a massive audience. He commands a lot of respect in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of somebody like that, Travis Pastrana has just come on the Can-Am Offroad group. So
I saw that.
Yeah, that's kind of big news. Yeah,
for sure. He's an awesome person too. He would be probably a very close second for someone I'd like to sponsor. That guy's crazy.
Yeah, I did. I saw him at SEMA as well, and I took his picture while he was talking to somebody else that I knew. So
So you're also best friends with him as well, yeah.
Now, this is a very true story. Peak of my podcast career, which happened very early on. I got to interview him at Vegas to Reno in 2017.
Wow.
It was 2 minutes and like 13 seconds. Him and Jolene Van Vliet both. I got to interview them both at the same time. And it was awesome. And I was like, yeah, high five, man.
They show you how to do a backflip or anything?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did right after that. I backflipped one of the Polaris Razors that they had there. It was great. Okay, yeah, so good. I agree with that. That Ken Block, that's a good option. Can't go wrong there. Might be hard to afford, but can't go wrong if you can.
Agreed.
All right, well, hey, it's time to kind of wrap things up here. If folks listening to the show had to remember just one thing from this conversation, if they forgot everything else, what would that one thing be?
I would probably say, along the lines of sponsors, they're people just like us. If you can find out their interests, their goals for their company, you have a much better chance of getting them on board. If you can understand them, then you can help them understand you and what you're trying to do. So I think definitely, be well prepared for any kind of talks you have with them, whether it's emailing them or calling them up on the phone or whatever. Get to know what they do, kind of watch their social media, do some research on them before approaching them, and you'll have the best odds of getting someone to sponsor you, I'd say.
Oh, perfect. Well, what's the best way for people listening to connect with you?
We have on Instagram right now, the page is bad_rap_gen2. That's probably going to change soon because it's not just Raptor focused anymore. But that's our Instagram page. But we also have a website, catchmeoffroad.com. It shows media from our events. It shows we have a sponsors page. We have all of our upcoming events, and you can register for events there. You can read our rules and regulations, things like that, and check out some videos and pictures of what we do. So yeah, catchmeoffroad.com.
And I did want to comment because I went there and checked it out, and it's very well organized. I like the idea, you got the rules and regulations and all that stuff. Just everything's mapped out. That's a nice touch. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we try to keep it always up to date as well. That's also important. Just you don't want something that's from 1997, on your website. You want the latest and greatest. People know you're paying attention to it. They always have accurate portrayal of what you're doing. So
yeah, definitely. Well, hey, I appreciate it again, you taking the time to chat with us, give us some insights on, what it is that you do and how other folks can learn from it. My intent is that, people listen to this show that are a backcountry snowmobiler rider can learn something, or somebody who's, an ATV racer can learn something from this conversation, or a monster truck driver. Like, they're different, but they're connected.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just going to leave you with this. Have fun and ride safe. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by 4 Wheel Parts. I want you to make sure that you are subscribed to this show, whether it's on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss upcoming guests and upcoming episodes. And then follow us on social media. We're on all of the platforms. You can find out the most content, though, on our Facebook page. That's where we do our live videos. To get some insider access to upcoming guests, you can also check out the Sponsored Rider Club on Facebook. It is a support network where you can ask questions about best practices and get feedback from our audience. And I also highly encourage you to check out our column in UTV Sports Magazine called Sponsor This. A special thanks goes out to our sponsors, 4 Wheel Parts, AMSOIL, TopThePodium.com, and Crash Addict Industries. And I also want to shout out some of our other partners, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and High Octane Coffee. I look forward to serving you again next week. Until then, have fun and ride safe.